The Tupac Vegas incident. Give me a play-by-play of everything that happened today.
Well, it all started out, everybody went to Suge's house in Compton. It was me, Danny, the Outlaws, my homeboy, Tyrone, known as Hurt 'em Bad, the Machiavelli and all that, was there. And when Tupac showed up, the first thing that caught my attention that he seen Tyrone and he was like, he just kept saying, Machiavelli Records, Machiavelli Records. And I never heard that before. He's like, Machiavelli Records, Machiavelli Records. And I'm like, damn, he really gonna take Ty with him, you know what I'm saying? Because I know Ty was like, he was with B.I.G as an artist, but as a producer, he wasn't signed to Death Row. Suge gave him an opportunity to, when the whole B.I.G thing fell through, he let him become a producer. So learn how to be a producer, but pay him as a producer. But he wasn't actually signed. He was still an artist signed to Death Row. So I knew that he can actually go over to Machiavelli Records. I couldn't because I was signed to Death Row. So I was happy for Ty with that. And I just, Pac was like super excited that day. You know what I mean? Like he was ready for that day. And it was like, all of us had cars ready to go, Outlaws, and we just gathered up and just headed on the road to Vegas. On the way there, I was with Danny and Gaddafi from the Outlaws. I remember looking over to the side, we passed up Pac and Kadada, and we rolled down the windows, and he was listening to Nas, and I knew he had a problem with Nas at the time, but so it was like, tripped me out that he was listening to Nas' album, like he was studying that album, just listening to the album. He was in like full concentration, like he didn't look up or nothing. He was just listening to that album solid.
What album was it?
I don't know what album.
It was written?
Whatever album came out in '96. It was written?
Yeah, it was written.
Yeah, he was studying that album. He was into that album, like full stereo mode, like I'm not thinking about nothing but this album. And Kadada was riding with him. I think Edie might have probably put in the back seat or something like that. So after that, just being on the road, we was like, first of all, you gotta understand that road, that drive is like a 4-hour drive of like straightaway damn near. So after a while, we just started like, let's do 110. You know what I'm saying? Let's just get there. And the weirdest thing happened. After everybody was going over 100 miles an hour, we ran to a complete, like this full-on rainstorm. It was dry and it was like, boom, complete rain. Everybody was doing all the sliding and everything along the way. We didn't think nothing of it. Get past that, we get to this stop to get gas and whatever. And next thing I start hearing all this ruckus going on. I'm like, what the fuck going on? So I get out the car, I go, and it's like these school kids is getting into it with Pac. Now, me knowing Pac and knowing of Pac before Death Row, this is the last thing I would see Pac doing, was getting into it with some kids. You know what I'm saying? But he was so rah-rah, and it was like, they was, just saying like real stupid kiddie stuff to him. But it was getting to him, and he was like, they had to hold him back to keep him from fighting these kids. They was just saying, oh, you ain't shit, you punk ass motherfucker, and bitch ass nigga, just shit kids would say to somebody older than them that didn't piss them the fuck off, you know what I'm saying? Fuck if you Pac, nigga, I'm a young motherfucker and I'm full of my energy and you full of your energy. And I'm like, damn, this is way beyond this dude, you know what I'm saying? So we get past that. Like all these things is going through my head. Like,
and for people that don't know, the incident you talking about, that was actually the incident Tupac had with the Paulie varsity football team.
Yeah, I didn't know what it was. I just knew it was a school bus with kids on the school bus. You know what I mean? And they were still on the school bus. It was nobody off the school bus talking crazy. They was on the school bus. And he was being held back to, you know what I'm saying, stop getting into it with these kids on the school bus, which I felt like was way beyond like anything that he needed to do at that time. So,
right. Yeah, that was the incident I think he had with the Paulie varsity football team. I think it was at In and Out, right?
Yeah, it was In and Out. It was at a rest stop, but I think it had In and Out at it. And again, you gotta understand, all this is with my mindset. I'm watching the progression of the Pac I met that was like this to this Pac to this Pac to this Pac to this Pac. You know what I'm saying? And beforehand, I started not coming to the studio so much just to stay away from that shit. Like Hurt 'em Bad and D Harp was like, man, we working with Pac, won't you come? I was like, I'm gonna work on the One Nation album from a distance. You know what I'm saying? I'll present beats, but I'm not getting involved in the Can-Am shit that be going on down there. You know what I'm saying? It's too wild. It's too much other shit going on. You know what I'm saying? I love this dude to death, but man, I just gotta keep my distance at times. I didn't ran into too many situations where it's like we don't see eye to eye. You know what I mean? On what's going on or what's being done. Because, like I said, previous before that, I had somebody jumped in his clique while he was there, and he allowed that shit to go on. So I was keeping my distance, you know what I'm saying? So I'm watching all this shit go down from, like I say, this to this situation with the kids and everything. So we get beyond that. We finally get to Vegas. I'm thinking like, okay, do I want to go to the fight or do I want to go to the party? And I'm like, okay, I want to go to the party. Fuck the fight. The fight, it's a Tyson fight. That shit might be over. And it was over. I think 1 round, 2 rounds or something like that.
Right.
And so we go direct to the club. Pac them go to Suge house. But I've seen him all day. You know what I'm saying? You got to understand, like, this is like family situation. I see this person every day. I'm not interested, like, to keep being around somebody. You know what I mean? There was other celebrities on our floor anyway, so it was like, I'm gonna let them do that, then I'm gonna go to the party. So a few of us held back and then go to the party. So when we went to the party, I can't remember what time it was, maybe 1, 2. We were the first to hear that there was a shooting and Pac and Suge got shot. So we snuck out the party. Everybody else stayed at the party. So we went straight to the hospital. So when we get to the hospital, Suge is laid up with the bandage on his head. You can see the blood, spot through the bandage. And he was like, yeah, Pac got shot. And I don't know, he pretty bad. And he was like real somber, and I've never seen him like that. So that was kind of like a summary of that day. Maybe missing a few things, but that was the main part of that day.
So did Tupac have a bulletproof vest with him in Vegas? Because that's a rumor that's been going around for years. So
I can tell you this: if he had it, he wasn't gonna wear it because he had this shirt that was like how I got this shirt. I wouldn't want a bulletproof vest, sticking out with my new chain on. Like I wouldn't want my chain. Like I put a chain out here. You know what I'm saying? He had this emblem that was like this big. So he had
the Euphemism chain.
Yeah, he had that chain and he had a shirt and he had nothing underneath the shirt. So if he didn't have nothing underneath the shirt, that means his bulletproof vest would have been showing to show the chain and not have on no shirt. So he wasn't interested in wearing the bullet. He was more interested in the fashion and the look and the aesthetic of how he was looking.
So the hospital scene. Who was all the people that came to visit Tupac while he was in the hospital?
One of the first people I remember was Jasmine Guy.
Okay.
The female from, what was that?
A Different World?
Different World. She was there fast. Jada was there. Instant. She was there just as fast. Yo-Yo. It's like all these girls that he dealt with, you know what I'm saying, at one point in time in his life. They were there. My God, it was like everybody. I can remember his father showed up, though. That was the craziest thing, because I never knew he even had a father. I thought his father was dead from his raps and stuff, you know what I'm saying? But his actual father showed up. I can't really remember offhand, who were the other females that showed up, because this happened on different days.
Right. So give me a detailed account of everything that happened at the hospital.
Okay, at the hospital, it was so chaotic because we had the Outlaws there, and it was us there, and it was Suge's crew there, a few of them, but it wasn't many. There was death threats. That was the craziest thing. There were death threats saying, we know where he at, we know where the window is, where he at. So it was like we had to guard the window. Like some of us had to stand actually outside the window. And some of us had to guard the hospital as that shit was going on. You know, we didn't know, at the time, we didn't know where to hit, who was doing the shooting, why they got shot, none of that. Nobody, that information wasn't privy to none of us. So that was the main thing. Like the hospital was getting death threats like back to back. So we all had to just become security guards or whatever you want to call it.
So at this time, man, he's in the hospital, and it was rumors, because I actually seen interviews from doctors that were saying Tupac was going to survive the Vegas incident. He was going to survive getting shot. Was y'all hearing that while y'all was at the hospital?
That was our actual, that's the way we was hearing it, and that's the way we was looking at it, because I remember vividly on Wednesday, I was with Euphemism, and the doctor came up to Euphemism and told her, we're getting ready to put him, for my first time hearing these words, we're getting ready to put him under medically induced coma. And they said, we're just going to do that just to stabilize him, because he keeps fighting. He keeps trying to come out of this, but we need to stabilize him to get him right. And she was like, okay. And I was like, oh shit, he's going to be good then, because they're getting ready to, you know, he's fighting his way, and he's not letting the procedures, whatever needs to be done, happen. He's fighting his way out of this. So once they, you know, stabilize him and let the medical procedures take over, he's going to be okay. So that's the way I looked at it.
So Tupac was moving in the hospital bed?
Yeah, they say he was fighting. He was fighting it. Whatever they was doing to keep him stabilized, he was fighting it.
How did it get from there? Tupac moving, he's fighting, you know, he's trying to fight for his life or whatever. How did it get from there to Euphemism deciding to pull the plug on Tupac?
Well, I remember it was Friday, and I just went to the mall in Vegas, and did I have a pager or a phone? I can't remember which one I had. Whatever it was I just was getting 911s and a whole bunch of calls. And then I went somewhere and I looked up on the TV, and it was like, you know, Tupac Shakur has died. So I was like, oh shit, I gotta get to the hospital. So I think I caught a cab or something to the hospital, and you know, the fans were starting to show up, and it was a weird emotional time. I remember I was striking out at the fans, because I was like, I didn't know how to deal with it. And I was like super emotional, and I was like, it was reporters there, and they were asking fans questions, and I was hearing this shit. So I was like, I was too emotional, and so I was like trying to fight fans, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I remember Hammer and Eric B. From, you know, Eric B. is president, because Eric B. was a part of the camp at the time. He was gonna start Death Row East or something with Pac. And they told me to get into the Hummer with them. Like, man, bring your ass over and get in the Hummer. And it was unbelievable. Like, I couldn't believe that he had actually died, because that's not what I was hearing just Wednesday. You know what I mean? It was like, I thought he was gonna be cool. So I couldn't understand, like, how the fuck did he just die when y'all just said that y'all was gonna put him under a medically induced coma. And then it wasn't 3 hours before everybody was like, man, Euphemism and the Outlaws is smoking his ashes. It seemed like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't in that room, you know what I'm saying, where that happened at, but it was like, yeah, they rolled him up in the blunt and smoked ashes. I'm like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like,
they cremated him that fast?
Yeah, it was fast. It was fast. She called the shot. She did not want that funeral. She did not want that big, like how Biggie had a celebration, or like just how recently DMX had a celebration. She didn't want that for Pac.
You know why?
I don't know. I mean, that's something that was in her belief. You know what I'm saying? She did not want that.
So, okay, she pulls the plug on Tupac. It's officially announced he passed away. What happened after that?
Like that. You know what I'm saying? I just remember going back to Suge's house. It was me, Danny Boy, and Danny Boy's homeboy Troy, and Keisha Cole. And
So Keisha Cole was with y'all?
yeah, she was there that night. And we just Suge had like a house, then he had a guest house behind the house. And we was just chilling in that guest house. And we was smoking just to relieve our mind. I don't even smoke, you know what I'm saying? So we was doing that. Keisha wasn't smoking. She was like 12 years old, so let me get that clear. You know what I'm saying? But she was there we was all just tripping off the whole Tupac thing, just sad and shit. And then Suge comes in and he was looking at us like, man, y'all okay? He was like, yeah. He's like, man, don't be down like that. Like, I know the situation, but he was like, man, lift yourself up. You know what I'm saying? Let's not be out like that. And he was out like that. You know what I'm saying? I could tell he was kind of like not understanding how to deal with it and keep the same Suge image. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
But he was trying to just make sure we was all good in that situation.
Whatever happened to Tupac euthanasia gene?
This was the crazy thing. When we was on our way back from Vegas, we were like the last to leave Vegas. I think it was like 4 of us. So when we came back, we had to go pick up this bag. And I'm like, okay, what the fuck is this bag? So as we driving back from Vegas, I look in the bag and I pull out that chain, the euthanasia chain. And it had actual blood stains on it. I just remember the blood stains. And I was looking at it like, in my mind, it was like, damn, I came here with this dude. I seen this dude. And now, less than, 7, 8 days later, I'm coming back with this. This is all that's left of this dude coming back. You know what I'm saying? Just a human. I'm not even thinking about Tupac like celebrity. I'm just thinking about it as another man. This is all that's left of this man coming back. Is this.
That bloody euthanasia gene?
Yeah. With blood on it still. And there was a few other items like chains and stuff like that. I believe the ashes was in the bag also. All this stuff was to be turned over to Euphemism once we got back. We were taking it to the office to get to her.
Okay, so...
But this is the last of the stuff that was coming back because we were the last people to leave.
So y'all had a meeting after Tupac passed away, right?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
This was a weird one because, again, it was like a red room meeting. He called everybody who was anybody into the studio. But this time he told all the women to leave. So I had not a clue what the fuck was going on. He's like, all the women, can you please leave? So all the women left, and he had Frank Alexander, Tupac's bodyguard.
Right. Yeah, that's his bodyguard, Frank Alexander.
Frank Alexander get up, and he was like, Frank, could you tell everybody what your thoughts are? And Frank was like, I believe it was a cop who shot Tupac. So he spent like 15, 20 minutes explaining to us how a cop shoots a gun and the pattern. He's like a person who's not experienced with shooting a gun shoots a random pattern. But a cop shoots a certain pattern. They're trained to, like, you know what I'm saying? Like how or whatever, however it goes. He's like, the way those gunshots went off was like a cop shooting a gun. So I don't know if that was to put that theory in our head, but the whole thing was just about that. And then he played I Ain't Mad At You video. No, I ain't mad at. Yeah, ain't that the video where Pop gets killed at the beginning of the video?
Yeah.
Yeah, he plays that video, and he's like, how weird is this? And it was just a weird meme because it's like, what the fuck was this meme for? Like, was it to give us information to go tell people or something? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Throw everybody off. You know what I mean? It had no ending to the meeting. Like, it was just like, Okay, Frank gets up and tells us it was a cop who shot Pac. Then you play All Eyes on, I Ain't Mad at You. And be like, look at this video. Like, ain't that weird? And meeting over. I'll just look at it. Now I look back in hindsight, propaganda. You know what I'm saying? That's like some propaganda shit that you sell your people information to go out and spread this information that you just got right here. This is what I want to put out. Because for years I was like, oh man, Pac was killed by the police after that.